Hey, what's up, guys? It's Scarce here. Huge YouTube news today. Wizards of the Coast came out with another anonymously authored chapter. This is chapter 5 of the Ixalan storyline, and also chapter 6. Can you believe this? Now, we're pretty sure that Rice Gum is going to make a diss track on chapter 6, but for now, we're just going to cover chapter 5. So I'll throw it over to my pal, Desolator Magic. You like how I'm not even trying to voice act Scarce, because honestly, I kind of sound like I'm a little bit. By the way, 50% of the 2 videos that I made with the Desolator News Network, one of which came out literally the day before Scarce randomly decided to come back to YouTube, they were demonetized. And by they, I mean that one video, so screw it, DNN not coming back. But I am definitely going to cover Ixalan storyline part number 5. And it looks like we're back with the Pirates and Jace and Vraska, and the title is Something Else Entirely. So if you're not familiar with the storyline so far, what the hell, go watch the rest of these. But Jace was on a ship with Vraska. It's been a couple days. He just keeps himself busy by being weird. He still has amnesia. He's on a ship called the Belligerent, and Vraska is on a mission from Nicol Bolas to use her thaumatic compass, I guess it is, to find the city, not the City of Gold, the Golden City of Orazca. Maybe it is the City of Gold. I don't know. I mean, this is Nicol Bolas we're talking about. The compass probably just leads directly to the island's only Burger King. So there's apparently a quartermaster named Amelia, because apparently women can really only be pirates in Ixalan. Haven't really seen them be anything else. You know, there's inclusion, and then there's just sexism. And by the way, speaking of sexism, yeah, we're going with that segue. She looks like the guy who's the lead singer of The Darkness. I'm not saying that she was born a man, but I'm not saying that she necessarily wasn't, because this is Wizards we're talking about. Look up the card artwork for a Dead Eye Quartermaster if you want to see what I'm talking about. Also, nobody who is on the sea that long would have hair that looks like that. I guarantee it. Holy crap, now it says that he actually spent like a month on the ship. Jeez, kind of wonder what the other Gatewatch is doing. Now, they have confirmed at Wizards that time passes differently in every plane, potentially. It's just never really come up. And oh my gosh, they need to make a plane that's like really, really close to a black hole, so there's like a time dilation thing going on and like weird physics and all that. And then the storyline ends, they just take Gravity Manipulator Emrakul and stuff her into the black hole. So at the end of the last chapter, they had raided some kind of vampire boat thing with a whole bunch of different, Jace and Vraska magic. And 5 days later, they landed at a little pirate, motel named High and Dry, and they really didn't need any more expensive supplies, or I apparently like to call them explies. By the way, I can't talk today, and I'm sick of doing second takes. So I actually love this. Okay, so the place called High and Dry is built out of a whole bunch of wood from thousands of broken Brazen Coalition ships. So apparently when a ship sinks, I guess floats, otherwise not really getting the wood, you just grab all the wood and make some boardwalks. So here's something mighty confusing. It says that 2 years ago, the vampires showed up on Ixalan, which I thought Ixalan was the name of the plane. How the hell do thousands of vampires planeswalk? But then it turns out maybe Ixalan is the name of one of the main continents, maybe it is the name of the entire plane, maybe it's both, but there appears to be another continent called Torazan. That's where the vampires are from. And then the Legion of Dusk was formed when they, lost that sun artifact thing, even though the merfolk said that they have been in control of it since before any other races arrived on Ixalan. I am so confused right now. I don't know what the hell is going on, but whatever. It says something about Jace had been told that before the Legion of Dusk's arrival on Ixalan 2 years ago, this had been a place untouched by the war at home in Torazan. What was it, a vampire civil war? Was it basically the movie Twilight? What was going on? Don't know. They're just dumping exposition on you without enough details to back it up. So, awesome. So Amelia says, hey Jace, want to head over to the Burning Port for ale and cards? Okay. You know damn well that he can read minds at this point, right? That ain't news to you. Who the hell plays cards with somebody that can read minds? That's not smart. Why put in some female affirmative action hire in the storyline if you're going to make her act like an idiot? You know how on the show Luke Cage on Netflix, there is precisely one white guy, and he's a corrupt cop. What a racist freaking BLM pile of crap that show was. Well, now we got a female pirate, and she is the world's dumbest pirate. Yes, I am thoroughly thoroughly exaggerating this entire point. By the way, here's the most racist thing you've ever heard against goblin kind. So Jace shrugged and smiled. He felt a tap on his shoulder and turned to find Breeches, a goblin as talented at knot tying as he was at yelling. Whoa, 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 whoa. Calm down on the racism. Ixalan cards, he chanted with fervor. Amelia nudged the goblin with her leg. Oi, you owe me for last port, Breeches, so no chanting yet. What does that mean? Port, like where you land your ship, or like the drink? I think she means the last time we were in port. So then he continues to say, Ixalan cards. And so she wagged her finger and said, debt and ale and cards, Breeches. And so he paused, pulled 2 coins out from under his hat, and then said, debt and ale and cards. This guy's dumber than the average monkey. This is so discriminatory and condescending towards goblin kind. But then Vraska shows up and she's like, something about a new crewmate. You gotta go talk with them or whatever. So they go to the sketchiest of all sketch bars out in some crap part of town, I guess. It's called the Boatswain's Rear, which is just the greatest name ever. And this place is basically that bar from SpongeBob. What was it? The Salty Spittoon or whatever? You know, where there's like a sailor out front and he's like, how tough are ye? That actually became a meme. So Vraska, because, you know, she knows Jace is a total head case, and apparently, you know, Mr. Neat and Tidy, like, pretty boy, he walks in, she sees he's uneasy, and she's like, you okay with this place? And he's basically just like, this is awesome! Dude, Amnesia Jace is my new favorite Jace. They need to make a card for Rivals of Ixalan called Jace Amnesiac Moron. Or is it Amnesiac? Or Amnesiac? Too lazy to look it up, but this is just, he's the greatest. This is like Weekend at Bernie's and he's Bernie. I mean, it's just like total comic relief moron. Weekend at Bernie's 2, by the way, not 1, obviously. So Vraska states, and this is kind of important if you're following the timeline, which at this point is unfollowable, but let's take a shot at it. Vraska says, okay, it began about 5 months ago. I was contacted by a wealthy patron from overseas, not part of the Legion of Dusk, though. His name is Lord Nicholas. Okay, his name's Nicol Bolas, in case you didn't catch that chapter. And he hired me to retrieve an item of great power. And she pulls out the compass, and Jace is like, nice compass. Now remember, there's more than 1 needle on it. There's no markings or direction marks at all. And Vraska doesn't actually know how to use it. So then she says, well, he told me to make for the continent of Ixalan, so apparently it is a continent. And secondly, why didn't he tell you to go to, oh, you guys know what's coming, the continent of Hawaii? Seriously, though, I bet Hawaiian set is in the works. I really do. I mean, they haven't taken a dump on Polynesian culture yet, so, you know, add it to the list. In fact, why don't we just go to a land where all the women are like super buff, like 8-foot tall Amazon women, and all the men are like devolved borderline apes that just drag their knuckles around all day and drool. In fact, they could call the plane California. You came for the story, but you stayed for the talking crap. So then she goes on to loudly explain this clearly classified information in the middle of a busy bar, and says, he told me to make for the continent of Ixalan, the thematic compass is enchanted to find a place of power, the forgotten city known as Orazca. And then immediately they hear a "No!" screamed from behind them. Oh yeah, sitting at the bar behind them is a green-finned merfolk. So that's how they got a merfolk into Pirate Central as a spy. By just letting him sit there and order drinks. What the hell is wrong with these pirates? Are they the dumbest people on the planet? Oh, and then because this writing is just so spot on, apparently he didn't say anything, he just thought the word no very loudly. Well, that's one way to find a merfolk spy. Also, it'll be the guy that's a merfolk. I was like, oh, I bet he's using illusion magic to look like a pirate. No, he's sitting there ordering drinks, for God's sake. What the hell? Why is he there? I mean, he's probably actually there for buy one, get one free honey barbecue wings, because even I'd go to like a gay bar if that was the deal. I mean, the discount wings, I don't care where I'm at. But like, why though? Just why? Why? And so all of Jace's friends were like, what? What's your deal? And he's like, oh, sorry, I thought I heard something. He can read minds. Is that news to all of you? I'm pretty sure he shared it word for word. Okay, so this is interesting. Malcolm continues to explain, the object we're after is in Orazca, and it is known as the Immortal Sun. It used to be kept at the monasteries of Torazan, which is the continent that the vampire people are from, in the kingdom that would eventually become the Legion of Dusk. So I guess it wasn't always that, But here's the thing. Since before all of the other species existed on this plane, the merfolk have been guarding the temple at Orazca that holds the sun. It sounds like, to me, approximately 2 years ago, it was removed from Torazan. What are the merfolk talking about? If they had it in their possession the whole time, how would... I don't get this. Anyway, they do say finally some more details about what this actually is. Hopefully just basically a nuclear missile that they're going to launch at Nicol Bolas. That would be cool. But anyway, its presence gave the old rulers incredible power. Jealousies blossomed, and Padron the Wicked's forces broke into the monastery where the immortal sun was kept safe and stole it. As they departed the sanctuary, a winged being descended from the sky. It took the immortal sun, carrying the relic across the sea and into the west. No living being knows its exact location. It's in Orazca. Even I know that, and I'm not from Ixalan. So its exact location is in Orazca. They just don't know where that is. So I'm going to take a wild guess that the winged being is probably, honestly, on a card already. But also, it's the Last Guardian, or whatever they called it. Oh yeah, I remember it was named after a video game. So yes, the Last Guardian. And so... like, they must have dropped it off with the merfolk, but the merfolk said they've been guarding it for centuries. So, get it together, wizards. Make a cohesive story. I mean, it's possible I'm mistaken and I misread something, but that's the way I remember it. So anyway, Vraska, finishes with, yeah, this compass is supposed to guide us there. We just don't know how. And honestly, from the last chapter, they actually don't know which needle to follow. So they just picked the biggest one. I am not kidding. So now Vraska says it changes direction frequently, which is interesting, and it's how we found you. So it was like pointing towards him because maybe he's important to finding Orazca. I don't know. This compass is very odd. Why the hell would Nicol Bolas give her a wacky waving compass that makes her go around in circles basically in a ship and not tell her how it works? It's like when my girlfriend got in a car accident, and then when I showed up, I had my flashlight/taser on me, and they needed to look for something in the car. And she's like, oh, can I borrow your flashlight? And I'm like, sure. Literally like 10 cops standing around. I'm like, yes, you can borrow my wink, wink, nod, nod, flashlight, wink, nod. Well, apparently she doesn't know wink, wink, nod, nod Morse code, because that was wink, wink, nod, nod for... don't press the red button, it doesn't turn the flashlight on. So she's like, how do you work this thing? Flip the power, zap, 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 zap. And every single cop looks over. I'm like, I got a permit for this? They didn't even make me prove it because no cop gives a crap about tasers. They would much rather have somebody have a taser than a gun, which coincidentally, I also had a gun on me. But options, people, options. But that's what happens when people hand other people things and don't tell them how they work. Sometimes it doesn't go so great. Also, her name was Nicole, but in the story, I'm Nicol Bolas. Get it? Nicole. Okay. Also, we kind of got back together and broke up again, kind of, sort of. It's complicated. So apparently having amnesia is directly tied to your IQ and wisdom level. Jace gives her a flat look. It says and replies, I'm not a golden city. Obviously, she smiled, which, you can't really, she smiled, but that's not how she said the word, obviously. I hate it when authors do that. Exclaimed. Okay, that's how they said it. Smiled. No, that's an action you said before or after you said something. Anyway, but maybe you can figure out how it works so we don't get thrown off by a distraction again. Jace is a distraction. Oh my god, he actually replies, I like to think I'm not a distraction either. Yeah, you are. He's a sexy, muscular, half-shirtless distraction. Am I right, ladies? I'm just gonna have to backtrack and no homo the hell out of that for a second. And then, of course, Vraska replies, no, Jace, you're not a distraction. You're something else entirely. Haha, roll credits. She just said the title of the chapter, by the way. Well, this is interesting. On the way out, Jace asks Vraska if she knows that he can read minds. And she replies in her head, yeah, I do know that. And then he acts all surprised. He's like, why didn't you tell me? All right. See, I told you it's not news to them. I just didn't know that it wasn't news to him that it wasn't news to her. So apparently he's been hearing the voices of everybody around him for months or whatever, or well, at least 1 month. And now for no reason, literally no reason other than to progress the story in the plot, he can he figures out how to turn it off. All right. So finally he's like, oh, finally some silence, and he can only read people's minds now if he goes out of his way to try to do so. So then Vraska's like, okay, so don't read the minds of me or my crew because that's rude. Everybody else is fair game, except our employer, but I think he may be a better telepath than you. Ha ha ha, throwback references. Get it? Because Nicol Bolas was the one that gave Jace his amnesia. And so then naturally, because, comedy, Jace goes, oh, do I know him? And Vraska's like, no. Now, it would seem from what she says next that she does know that he does know him because he hired her to try to assassinate someone on Ravnica, and then Jace stopped her, but then he knew that he hired her or something. I don't know. Go read the Ravnica story. I have no idea. So then Vraska tells him, you're from Ravnica, I'm from Ravnica. We kind of knew each other. You were a politician and you ran like a whole campaign and everything because he insisted that he would not be a politician on purpose and somebody must have tricked him into it. So then he's like, oh, is this Ravnica? And he just like reads her mind and then projects like a picture of Ravnica mostly so he can see it. And then she's like, yeah, can you not? So Jace is getting more in touch with his mental abilities and Vraska's like, trying to answer him without really giving too much away. And he's like, dude, mines are super fragile. Like, I could totally accidentally break them because they're like crystals and I'm like a sledgehammer. And so then he asks her, have I ever done that? And she's like, I don't know, maybe. So then Vraska tells him, the whole story about the Golgari and they all got arrested and, Gorgon racism or whatever the hell. And Jace is like, oh, that's terrible, even though he was probably like the one that ordered it or whatever. I don't know. I don't know the Ravnica story very well. I think it was even a book at that point. So then he's like, yeah, you should go back to Ravnica because, if the Golgari said you'll be the leader of the guild, then that would be awesome. And she was like, oh my God, that is the sweetest thing anybody has ever told me. Okay, so the next section starts with the weeks passed pleasantly for the crew, and the closer the belligerent drew to the continent, the more excited they became. Okay. 5 months since she landed on, we'll say Ixalan, even though Ixalan is the name of the plane and the continent they're going to. First of all, why the hell did she land so far away? But I guess if you've never been there, whatever. But secondly, how the hell does it take 5 months? We'll just say it took 2 months to get a pirate crew and a ship. How the hell does it take 3 months to sail to the continent? Maybe it's because they're following that damn compass. I mean, if somebody's like, let's go to Ixalan, you can't miss it. It's a freaking continent. Why not just follow, a map that says, here, go to Ixalan, then start following the compass? The timing of this, it just doesn't make sense. So Jace the whole time has been trying to figure out how the thaumatic compass works because they kind of need it. Still can't really make heads or tails of it, but he's like, well, I mean, it changed direction when they found me, so that's kind of weird. Maybe there's something there. And so then he shakes it a little bit, and one of the lights flickered. He's like, okay, cheap Chinese crap, I guess it's broken. So he proceeds to, take it apart. 'Cause that's what you do. Oh, it's almost like it was foreshadowing when he took apart that telescope and put it back together in the earlier chapter for absolutely no reason. And the story mentioned it for absolutely no reason, which is the most suspicious and in-your-face way to do foreshadowing. Oh my God, the next paragraph literally says, it was easy to take it apart, like the telescope several weeks prior. Well, just shove it right in my face, wizards. I'm an idiot and I can't put 2 and 2 together, so you gotta spell it right the hell out for me. So it turns out one of the gears was actually loose on its axis, so he tightened it up, which is weird because that's not how gears or axes work. And then he reassembled the compass, and how much you want to bet it actually works now? Yeah, it says one single light shone from one side of it, and just in one clear and single direction. So the whole time that they were, quote, following this thing, it was really just malfunctioning. There's a joke I could make here about women and driving, but I'm not going to. All I'm going to say is Wizards put a couple too many women on that ship, and it's just too damn easy to make jokes like that. You know how I'm basically one walking, talking spoiler because I can put stuff together even quicker than Jace when it comes to logical and evidential puzzles? Yeah, incoming. So Jace knows that he can use some kind of weird magic that kind of works and kind of doesn't. In other words, planeswalking, but then there's the whole curse of warding or whatever the hell they're calling it. And so he tries to planeswalk, and then the little triangle symbol for Azorius shows up over his head. He snaps back to this plane, and then he's a little bit dazed, but he looks at the compass, and boom, the needle is pointing directly at him. Aha! So he determines, oh, well, the compass must work by pointing towards a very specific type of magical expression. Small illusions don't move the needle, but whatever it was that Jace was doing with that ability did move the needle. So in other words, Orazca is stuck between planes in what they call the Blind Eternities. That is both how and why Orazca is hidden, okay? So somebody shifted the city of Orazca slightly out of, like, plane phase or whatever into a different dimension between the planes so that nobody can get there, literally, and then blocked all the planeswalkers who enter the plane from planeswalking out, because otherwise they could planeswalk into the Blind Eternities, land on Orazca, or potentially bring it back. The chapter didn't say any of that, I just put it all together, but honestly, that was a little in your face and on the head even for Wizards, so, I'm not going to pat myself on the back too hard for this one. So that's how they're going to find it. It makes sense. The compass points towards the biggest source of planeswalking energy or planeswalking magic or whatever, and so it'll be like the continuously planeswalking Orazca. So all they have to do is not attempt to planeswalk, or it will point directly at them, which is how they found Jace in the first place, and it'll lead them there. Now how they're going to bring it back into phase, who knows, but there's probably just some big old button. Just press the decloak button and woo, it's back. Okay, almost definitely from the artwork on the cards, it has something to do with temples. So, spoiler alert. So he runs up to the top of the ship all excited, like, hey, Vraska, I figured out how the compass works. And they're all like, not now, hurricane coming, or something. I don't know, big old storm. Oh, wait, no, it's actually just the Legion of Dusk ship, because remember, they use thunderstorms to make it not be sunlight. It's, whatever. Vampire sunlight, they're not a fan, so they generate some kind of super thick storm clouds to block out the sun, and yeah. So then Jace is like, oh, but I thought we were going to make landfall today. And Vraska's like, yeah, we're going to do that and apparently intercept the Legion of the Dusk or have them intercept us pretty much all at the same time. Because story and convenience. No, seriously, she says that word for word in the story. I'm just kidding. So the Legion of Dusk ship just passes right by them and I guess like ignores them or doesn't see them or something. I don't know what's going on there. And it is just like gigantic. Like the wave it's leaving in its wake almost overturns the belligerent. So then, because story, because plot, because convenience, I mean, this is just such bad writing. They're now being dragged into like some kind of coral reef that'll bust up their ship. Or they could sail closer to the ship. They're just like, oh, what do we do? What do we do? Like, it just came out of nowhere. It doesn't even spatially make sense, let alone story-wise. And so somebody falls overboard because their ship is rocking, like, lots of degrees. And Vraska's like, everybody abandon ship. And then apparently the belligerent rammed into the rocks anyway. And that is the end of the story. Although they do show the artwork from the last chapter from River's Rebuke, where the merfolk show up and they're like, oh, look, a bunch of ships showing up, and they just send it flying with a wall of water. So was the storm suddenly generated by the merfolk? Was it generated by the vampire people? Was it both? Not very clear, really bad writing, honestly. I mean, they do say a wave rose high in the distance. So that might have been the merfolk. I don't know. It's super unclear. Either way, time for a big old battle, and the next chapter is already out, so watch for the next chapter pretty soon. Hopefully I'll have more jokes and hilarious things to say, but this is actually an interesting and engaging story. So I mostly just wanted to tell you things that are actually happening, and sorry about the massive, gigantic spoilers that if you have a brain, you probably figured out yourself. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next video.